Sam, and I'm speaking here today about Pisces and this astrology sign that's ruled by Jupiter. Pisces is the female, reflective, internal psychological quality of Jupiter. So of course Jupiter is the planet of guru, teacher. It's what inspires us. It's our higher purpose. It's where we look for a metaphysical answer, not just a teaching of this world, which has more to do with Sagittarius. Sagittarius is more about religion or a fixed belief system. Pisces is where we just want to kind of merge in all of it. We're not even looking for a doctrine necessarily or an ideology. We're looking to feel and relax into that great oneness. Of course it makes a person find philosophy though, but usually it's something more mystical, not necessarily religious. And there's a difference, obviously. And so this often, takes many forms, and Pisces energy often changes a lot, especially around things that have to do with, trying to escape from all of the pain and the BS of the world. And we escape in many ways, and how a Pisces person escapes shows a lot about whether they really connect with something higher and mystical, or they just, spin their wheels and they're like fish swimming in a circle. But because when we escape through alcohol or drugs, especially, or those kinds of experiences, what we're doing is we're expanding our consciousness, but it's through a chemical. It's through chemicals, and we're connecting to something beyond this world, something more abstract and metaphysical, beyond the physical. But the chemical becomes the dependence. The same states of consciousness and awareness exist in meditation, and they're part of who we are. The chemical doesn't create the experience, it just removes certain barriers or releases certain chemicals in the brain that we can release ourselves through spiritual practice. So the point is, there are other ways that we reach those states as well. This is why Pisces is very much, looking for things, like romantic visions and notions of the world, creativity, like musicians, poets, artists, and of course just people who are romantic and they love fantasy. These are things that are also part of Pisces, because when we're fantasizing or we're creating or we're romanticizing something, we're connecting to something beyond the earth. Think about it. It's not just the humdrum things in life. We're trying to rise above through, and it's a feeling. It's in our heart. We feel it. That's Pisces. That inner expansion towards something bigger and deeper, which is Jupiter. So Jupiter, the ruling planet, also rules the 10th house, which seems fascinating, because you're like, well, Pisces, it's these fish. It's not necessarily about actions or karma, but the truth of the matter is, it really is. Pisces is keenly aware of their actions and the need to perform their actions correctly and the impact of their actions. And in fact, they're so aware of it that they might be completely stuck. They can tend to feel overwhelmed by the implications of their actions and all the actions that have come before, and they can tend to feel buried by the impact of all the past karma, all the past lives. Why do anything? So it can almost make them motionless and just kind of waiting for the tides to push them in some direction, because the burden of karma, the burden of responsibility, can often be too much. And in fact, this is one of the reasons, this is one of the things they're escaping from. They're escaping from that burden of time and pressure and karma. And they realize how important it is. And so, as such, they often feel very responsible for themselves, for others, and to not waste their time and waste their life. And yet they can do it more quickly, more easily than others, because the burden can be too much. So realize it's the last sign. It's where all the other signs have led to that sign. So there's this awareness of karma and pressure and time, which will be an overarching theme of Pisces. So one of the things that really keeps Pisces on track is Mars. Okay? Again, Mars is about focus and direction. And you see that Mars rules their second and ninth houses. Of course, the second house is our values and what we communicate as a result. And of course, the ninth house is our teachings and the wisdom that we have in life. So, and the teachers that we have found and whose teachings we apply. So again, when Pisces is aligned, when their values are aligned with great teachings, and I mean true like wisdom teachings, then it keeps their life on track. And by the way, even if it's religion, I don't fault religion at all. For some people, for most people, that's their ninth house. And it keeps them on track. And it keeps Pisces on track. If they're disconnected from their beliefs, if they don't have a value system, which is second house, based on their beliefs, and what truly inspires them, which is ninth house, then Pisces is a fish swimming, burdened by karma and time, aware of all the possibility of making mistakes. But when they get a good philosophy and they understand, okay, this is why I'm here, this is the nature of life, then what happens? Mars is like, makes that fish swim forward, right? Otherwise, they're always swimming in circles and they're up and down and they don't have any trajectory to their life. So Mars, extremely important to Pisces. Anytime I'm doing a Pisces chart, I'm looking, what's Mars doing? Is this person just swimming in circles, or are they at least aware that they're going somewhere? Or are they kind of overmatched by all of the romantic fantasies? They just want to escape from all that because they don't have a direction and a way to focus that imagination. And then we get to Venus. This is where we start to get some trickiness for sure. You know, Venus rules the third and eighth houses. This is perhaps Venus and Saturn are perhaps the most difficult planets. Venus is definitely the most hypnotic. It's that wispy promise of, I can be happy in the world can make me happy, people will make me happy, I can enjoy life, and I'll escape into my enjoyment for life. This is where you get that indulgence. Venus is really the planet that gets the Pisces spiraling into like a whirlpool of, you know, this kind of idea that worldly beauty is somehow going to be eternal, that they can hold on to it rather than those higher teachings. Venus is an indulgent planet. It's the third lord, which of course shows the ego and shows they try to assert their individuality and assert their will in a very Venus way. This is why Pisces tends to be very gentle, and their nature of self-assertion is in a Venus way. It can be, it's usually quite respectful, and they're, you know, they're not aggressive when they want to fulfill their desires, but it's also where they try to fulfill their desires. Their desires have a lot to do with Venus type stuff, which is happiness, pleasure, enjoyment. It's very easy in this world of senses and people to get stuck and mistake things like romance. That's why I say romance, creativity, for something eternal. And it's not. It's part of the emotional mind, but not the spiritual life. And it brings us happiness, but then it's fleeting. Again, this is the whole problem with Pisces, is when they try to connect the eternal with the ephemeral. The fleeting moments of, oh, but we were so happy, there was so much love, and then it changed. And it's hard for Pisces because, again, they're trying to connect with the mystical, the metaphysical. So Venus can be an indulgent planet. It's a third and eighth house ruler. So it's their changing and destroying their relationship with the senses and with other people and relationships and things like that especially. and trying to elevate it towards something where it's not a worldly experience, but an otherworldly one. But Venus, of all things, is very worldly. Boy, those senses feel good. Then we get Mercury, who rules the 7th and 10th houses. Mercury is, of course, that's the relationships and the career. I'm sorry, the relationships and the home and the heart. So, you know, their relationships with other people just really bore deeply into their heart. They feel like, especially, let's say, romantic partners, they want to like live with them, kind of shack up with them, you might say, and not just kind of skirt around and play around. They really take them seriously. And, you know, it really forms this kind of structure and foundation in their life. They usually have good luck with other people, and they find people who are intelligent and helpful, because, you know, it's both because it's ruled by Mercury. But of course, one of the things they need to be careful of trying to derive their own happiness, which is 4th house, from other people, which is 7th house. They need to find that happiness in their own heart, and especially in something cosmic, like I said about Mars. This is really true. Mars rules that 9th house. They need to be inspired and connect with that and give their life that kind of trajectory, and not get hung up on the illusion that other people are going to be the ones that make us happy, and that our happiness and peace and stillness in our heart is going to come from a relationship, or any relationship with people. Now, the 5th house is ruled by is ruled by the moon, which shows that romantic heart. The 5th house, the thing they love the most is the moon, which is the moon. The most changeable, this totally changeable heart, where their emotional state and their creative state is ever in flux, and also relating with the emotions that are changing all the time. Again, this is why the tides are always changing with Pisces, because the thing that inspires them the most, their deepest creativity, comes from the moon, which is ever changing. So again, that's why they need to have those core solid values in the 2nd house of Mars and stay on course. Then, as their emotions change and they connect with the feeling of being with people and all that, there's a structure and a teaching and a wisdom behind it, and they're not just losing themselves in some emotional experience with another person. Again, this is where you see this with them losing themselves in emotional experiences with people, and the desires with people, and thinking they can find their comfort and peace of mind with other people, especially other intimate people. But underneath it all, they have the most romantic, creative heart, with the moon ruling the 5th, right? Makes sense. They're the fish. They live in the water, and the 5th house is the ocean. So that sort of cosmic love is deeply embedded in the heart of Pisces. But then the sun rules the 6th house, which says, okay, that's fine, but you've incarnated on a planet with karma, and you need to finish it, and you need to endure, and you need to be of service. This is why Pisces is of great service, and not run away, and not try to swim away from all of that unpleasantness and service. See, because that's one of the things they're trying to escape. When they're escaping into things, it's like, oh, it's so hard. I can feel this it's so easy for me to feel the immediate pulse of cosmic beauty. I could just escape into that, into a romance novel, or into drugs, or watching TV, some beautiful thing. And the sun says, you're here to work, to be of service, to finish your karma. So the sun lights them up from that 6th house of service, effort, hard work, and Pisces can be some of the hardest working people. Again, when you get them on point and on purpose, they're some of the most dedicated, service-oriented, hard-working people, self-sacrificial, sacrificing themselves. 6th house is often about sacrifice, and the sun is like the self, like the higher self, and they'll do it willingly if the purpose is pure and true. And again, Pisces will have a natural tendency to want to do this, like I said at the beginning. They need to make sure that their efforts and their sacrifice is towards something that's worthy and something that's in alignment with their teachings and values and principles, coming back to Mars, like I said. But the Sun gives them that naturally service-oriented mindset and the willingness to work hard and not turn people into enemies. But again, when it's weak, they can make a lot of enemies because of that Sun ruling the 6th house. They can be cantankerous people, man. It's not just these sweet little fish, you know. Shark is also a fish, you know. They could be some Pisces. They'll fool you. They're one of the most unpredictable signs. I will say that. Pisces and Gemini are two of the most unpredictable because they're so mutable, and it depends on a couple things. And finally, Saturn rules the 11th and 12th house. It's really another planet that it can be a great asset, but also it can bring a lot of pressure, because Saturn really shows their awareness as ruling the 11th and the 12th houses. The highest gains and the deepest losses are ruled by the same planet. So this shows how, and it's Saturn, consequences and time and pressure. This shows why Pisces naturally has that awareness of time, consequences. Don't waste your time. All the mistakes I've made, and I better watch out to not make more, and what to let go of and what to commit to. What do I focus on and grow and build, and what do I need to let go of? This constant, this is what the fish are doing, is trying to say, but if I go forward this way, I have to let go of that, because you can't just move forward. Moving forward on this path is not moving forward on the other one. So which one? All the dual signs are like that. But Pisces, because it's so emotional, it feels that emotional pressure. And Saturn really gives that pressure. It really lords over them because they can be extremely ambitious. Again, when they're connected to purpose, or they have whatever their purpose is. If Mars is powerful for the Pisces person, they can be very ambitious. And Saturn gives them ruthless ambition, but then they'll go for it, and then deep losses. You'll often see with Pisces people in their life, there'll be great gains and great losses. It'll be like that. That's kind of their nature, and to be aware of it. Big gains, big losses, and the awareness of all the karma that has come before, Saturn kind of lands that pressure on them. So, again, all the signs are fascinating. Pisces certainly among them. So that's Pisces.